So things over at Obsidian Entertainment are not looking too good right now. Obviously, you guys are well aware through all of my videos and all the videos that are going online right now about Matt Hansen. Matt Hansen is this particular creature right here that thought it was in his best interest to take the video game that he's been working on for years and implode it from within, all because he decided to show some hatred towards Elon Musk. It was the weirdest decision ever, but it goes to show how unhinged these people are, that they're willing to tank the entire image of a AAA video game, all because their ego can't handle being destroyed in an election.
What the hell is wrong with you people?
Now we have even more information that there's people in the industry that are hating what they're seeing. Let it be known, there are developers that are working not just at Obsidian, but specifically at Obsidian for this particular video. There are developers working at Obsidian that are watching what Matt Hansen is doing online, and they're thinking to themselves, what the hell are you doing? Why are you doing this right now? We are literally at the end. We were at the finish line. We were about to release this game, and you decided to want to act like an idiot. Why? What are you doing this for? I guarantee you there are people that are so angry on the inside right now watching Matt Hansen try to pretend as if he's not taking the entire image of Avowed, but let it be known, it is just way too late now. So let's get into this article from Smash JT. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. Now again, this information is coming from an ex-Obsidian whistleblower that has decided to reach out to Smash JT regarding Matt Hansen and has apparently described him as pure evil. Obsidian Entertainment whistleblower exposes toxic corporate culture and gaming's AAA decline due to the message. You know what's also hilarious to me? A lot of these studios, and I'm sure you guys realize this, but a lot of these studios out there that do the whole DEI, virtue signaling nonsense, what ends up happening? What ends up being the truth about these studios? We end up finding out that they are terrible places to work for. We end up finding out that there is a massive amount of toxicity in their culture. We end up finding out that they have a lot of skeletons in their closet that they don't want anybody to know about. It's absolutely hilarious that the ones that try to virtue signal, the ones that try to pretend to be morally superior over you, every single gamer out there that they decide to attack on a daily basis, they're the ones with massive skeletons in their closet. They're the ones that once you start digging deep, you realize, wow, these people are really pieces of crap. So it says a whistleblower from Obsidian has come forward with some seriously wild information about the studio's internal culture under Microsoft's ownership, and more specifically, how Matt Hansen grew to power over there. The following insights they've given me have been painted quite the grim picture of a once thriving creative environment that's unfortunately devolved into a corporate-driven leftist echo chamber where agendas and ideologies now far outweigh any actual passion for game development. This former employee, who we'll call Doe for anonymity, describes a workplace completely overrun by external influences, misguided priorities, and a toxic atmosphere that ultimately drove him out. The center of this catastrophe of a workplace, none other than Matt Hansen. Some of the stuff I was told about him is going to blow your mind. Now, really quick, what I will say, Smash, I'm sure you're watching this video. Hopefully, if you watch my content, otherwise, you already know how I feel. I'm just kidding. Smash, you should have put him. You should have put him. This is like the one time you should use they, they, them. You know what I mean? Like, you should have put him. That way, it doesn't single out any one person in particular, or it doesn't make their job easier in terms of finding out who it might be. You know what I'm saying? Like, just use they in the future. That way you could protect them a little bit better. The center of this catastrophe of a workplace, none other than Matt Hansen. Some of the stuff I was told about him is going to blow your mind. Well, here we go. After the initial video discussing some of the concerns in Hansen's Blue Sky, which we already went over, and he apparently has deleted his X account. I didn't make a dedicated video talking about that because I really didn't feel like having the need to talk about that, but I'm kind of mentioning it in every subsidiary video that I'm making. He deleted his X account. He's trying to hide. I don't know if it was a corporate decision to make him delete his X account or if he decided to do it out of his own free will. But regardless, I wanted to share that info for those of you watching this video. This whistleblower reached out by email. They told me they were a big fan of my videos exposing Firewalk and BioWare, and from that, they felt confident that he was the person to divulge this info in order to get it out there for everyone. Doing this is the first step in fixing the problems that are plaguing the video game industry. We set up a video call from that and spoke for nearly 2.5 hours. In addition, I verified their previous employment history, and I'm extremely confident from what he told me is 100% the real deal. Okay, so we're going to have some excerpts from this email, I imagine, so we're going to dive deep into this, but I already could tell right off the bat, guys, I could tell just by watching videos about Matt Hansen. There's a video of an interview between Paris and Matt Hansen. You guys can immediately tell the kind of person that Matt Hansen is, right? If you look at all the thumbnails, you realize he's wearing this like weird neck scarf. Like, I don't know what kind of man wears a neck scarf like that other than men who are, of certain kinds, let's just say. It's very odd to me, but he has this energy where it's very narcissistic energy if you look at the videos that are revolving around him. So he says it's not easy to come forward and do this from a perspective as Doe, and now whistleblower. Doe informed me after putting all this information together of exactly what they're dealing with after this gets published. I know how spiteful of a person Matt unfortunately is, and I know he and probably others will try to witch hunt me just to try and make my life hell because they aren't getting their way. That's very interesting. But of course, I mean, here we are. This is a situation where these developers are all in a cult-like echo chamber. It's actually, I know people use the term echo chamber, but I genuinely believe it's past that. I think we are past calling it just an echo chamber. I think we are at the point where it is genuinely a cult, and they are all of the mindset that if you try to leave the cult, forget about it. It's game over. The shift in workplace dynamics began after Microsoft acquired Obsidian in November 2018 and made them part of Xbox Studios. They implemented some very strange corporate policies. The first tip-off to Doe that things weren't normal anymore was the introduction of optional but in reality mandatory pronouns in email signatures, meetings, and other communications. While initially framed as optional, it quickly became clear that the dissent was not welcome. Doe decided they didn't want to add pronouns to their communications, but went along with it, the idea that others were free to do so. A live and let live mantra that initially at least seemed so harmless at the time. Doe knew deep down that not including pronouns wasn't a good look from the jump, but declined them anyways because it was just so strange to list them. Of course, this harmless pronoun situation turned serious shortly after the initial email came through. Doe recalled an incident of someone at Obsidian complaining to HR a couple of weeks after that Microsoft pronoun initiative began. After the misgendering incident, Matt Hansen sent a company-wide email declaring a zero-tolerance policy for intentional or malicious misgendering. The email's tone was described to be as passive-aggressive yet threatening, a fair warning that employees who couldn't align with these policies would face termination. Now, again, when they do these things and they try to pretend it's optional, let it be known it's not fucking optional, right? Like, we know it's not optional. You know it's not optional. They know it's not optional, but they have to pretend it is optional because at the end of the day, they still operate mostly in the United States of America and they have to abide by certain laws, and they cannot make something like that mandatory. It is against it's just against the rules. You just can't do that. See, now we have this harmless idea of instituting pronouns turning out to be quite harmful in the grand scheme. Who would have thought? In all seriousness, Doe described what I would agree as using pronouns as a way of controlling others and using them as a way to shift the power balance / structure of the entire organization. This was the turning point. Doe observed that the Obsidian's culture seemed increasingly unwelcoming to anyone who didn't fit a specific mold, with demographics at the company becoming noticeably homogeneous in one specific direction. Doe also observed that Matt Hansen extremely was difficult to work with, citing an unwillingness to accept constructive criticism and a consistent tendency to make assumptions about lower-level employees' commitment. These experiences, combined with a broader sense of the company's priorities, have shifted away from fostering a collaborative and creative environment, left them questioning their place within the studio. Now, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to the overall creative opportunities that are there at the studios, they're very limiting because the studios have decided that it's more important to focus on these DEI policies than it is to actually make a product. It's kind of sad, but it's true. And then what ends up happening is everybody has to walk on eggshells. Can you imagine how uncomfortable it might be to work at these studios knowing that you're the odd man out, right? It's kind of like being in the Matrix and realizing that, oh shit, you're not the one that's jacked in. Everybody else is jacked in and you're the one that's free running around knowing that everybody's being controlled. It must be a really terrible situation to work in. Out of at the time well over 200 employees, there was only a handful of straight white males. As they put it, I probably could count them all on one hand. The studio itself was extremely gay and LGBTQ friendly. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's a bit curious how the ideology begins to morph and push to adhere to certain expected viewpoints. And if you do not ideologically align, you are instantly becoming an outcast, creating an even deeper echo chamber of like-minded thought. Doe began quietly updating their resume, realizing the workplace they initially signed up for had now become intensely hostile to anyone who didn't conform. I didn't touch that with a 20-foot pole, Doe told me, knowing deep down that any pushback would put them on the radar as the next person out the door. Despite staying at Obsidian for another few years, the toxicity only grew during that time, and he eventually parted with the company. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is not anything too shocking considering that we see this happen in multiple studios, right? At this point, how many studios have we seen go from legendary status to absolute psychopaths within a span of 5 to 10 years, right? There's way too many to name on two hands. It's actually kind of insane that we could look at the track history. We could look at all the history of studios and realize that, wow, we could see where they were legendary and we could see exactly when they started falling. And when they started falling was when they started doing this nonsense, or when they started incorporating it into their corporate culture and then trying to force certain people into roles that they weren't ready for. This thing is absolutely insane. And it goes to show that no matter what the company is, no matter how big the studio is, it is not invincible from this mindset. It is literally a woke mind virus. As crazy and cringe as that is to say, that's actually what it is. And it's infecting a lot of people in the gaming industry. So I'm glad that there is whistleblowers like this that are coming out and speaking out against this. And shout out to Smash JT for getting this information. And hopefully in the future, we have more people feel comfortable coming to YouTubers and telling the truth, because we know the journalists are not going to do it. The games journalists are not going to do it. They're not going to want to tell you the truth because they're in bed with these people. The only people who are going to tell you the truth is the YouTubers who are not in bed with these people. And thankfully, they're starting to find us. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.